完了之后，如果古老师赢了，这个10万现金，完了之后，这是由我给古老师。别打！
Traditional Chinese martial arts are a profound field of study and have produced many great heroes and historical figures. But in recent decades, much of the teachings have been lost or misinterpreted, and a new breed of fake kung fu master has used the traditional martial arts as a way to promote themselves and attract students, without actual skill to back up their claims. Enter Xi Xiaodong, an MMA fighter on a mission to expose fake martial artists. Since 2017, he has challenged and been challenged by numerous traditional martial artists in China and put many of them in their place, exposing them for being at a much lower skill level than they claim. His original 2017 fight that shot him to fame was with a Tai Chi master. After an argument on social media about whose martial arts were better, the bare-knuckle match ended in victory for Xu in just a few seconds. Xu went on to fight several more Tai Chi masters and win, as well as defeat Wing Chun master Ding Hao. This ruffled a few feathers in China. Police broke up one of Xu's fights against a supposed master called Ma Baoguo, although he was later knocked out by another MMA fighter, which proved Xu's point anyway. According to some news sites, it prompted the Chinese Wushu Association to advise martial arts practitioners to stop calling themselves master or shifu. And it actually got Xi Xiaodong sued when he insulted Chen-style Tai Chi grandmaster Chen Xiaowang. It seems with that one, he picked on someone a little too well connected. You see, in China, many people see the Chen village or Chen Jiagou as the birthplace of Tai Chi, and Chen Wangting, who lived in the Ming Dynasty, as its founder. This is actually disputed because traditionally the Taoist immortal Zhang Sanfeng is the creator of Tai Chi. You can check out our video on him, it looks like this. I'll put it on the end screen of this video. But whatever the case, Xu insulted the current grandmaster of what many believe is the original Tai Chi style, which is obviously viewed as very important in the eyes of Chinese authorities. So instead of accepting the challenge and having a bare-knuckle bust up in a basement, the 78-year-old Chen Xiaowang sued Xu and won in court. Xu had to pay the equivalent of $58,000 in fines and apologize for 7 days consecutively on social media. Xu's social credit rating was also cut, and while that might sound like something from a dystopian future,
I'd just like a cup of tea, please. Read the sign. Please.
It really is a thing in China. Xu was unable to take many forms of public transportation due to his low social credit rating, and it took him 36 hours to travel to another city to fight another martial artist, the so-called Wing Chun pressure point master Liu Gang. He fought wearing clown makeup, and the fight ended very quickly with Xu victorious and another fake master exposed. So that's basically some background on Xi Xiaodong. Now fast forward to a few days ago, he faced another challenger. This challenger has a TikTok account filled with videos on how to defeat Mike Tyson.
他的抖音几乎全是说自己人怎么打败泰森的。
And he's also been interviewed on the subject.
泰森是抡圆了胳膊，而你是用腰去对付他手腕的力量，或者是肩膀的力量。从力量，从力学的角度上讲，你是可以大于对方。
泰森如果打的是刺拳呢？
他刺拳的力量只会更小。
Perhaps Jake Paul should watch his stuff.
Risking serious injury against a powerful 27-year-old who's in his prime. I don't know if he's in his prime, he's fat.
So, if he can defeat Mike Tyson, defeating Xu should be easy. But he didn't even get to fight Xu. This time, Xu let the supposed Tai Chi master fight one of his students. And I think you'll find the interaction between them surprisingly respectful when you consider the claims about defeating Mike Tyson and Xi Xiaodong's background in exposing fake masters. Let's take a look. I've translated a load of it, and you can also practice your Chinese listening skill at the same time.
今天是友谊交流，我跟古老师在理论和理念上有一些不同。
Notice he doesn't call him master or shifu, but instead teacher or 老师, but the rest of it is pretty respectful.
对，那么最好呢就是冲过擂台，但是我不能跟古老师去打，对，因为我的体重大，完了之后呢，绝对不能做这种就是我觉得不平衡的。所以呢，古老师，而且古老师说他的水平不错，而且他又希望跟年轻人交流。我再说一遍，这是古老师选的对手，是吧？对对。
And thus, Teacher Gu, a Tai Chi practitioner, I'm not sure which style, agreed to fight Xu's student called Zhang Ao. They also settled on other aspects of the challenge, like the length of the rounds and the prize.
另外呢，这是我跟古老师说的。完了之后，如果古老师赢了，这个10万现金。完了之后，这是由我给古老师，如果古老师输了，这个现金我太后我就输了，我也不给江欧同志。我这钱不容易啊，我跟你说。大家看好，是真钱啊，不是假钱啊。
Xu is also very understanding about whether to force the traditional martial artist to wear gloves or not.
要说，小东，我喜欢不戴拳套也可以，但是我们江欧戴拳套，就是我们这边的选手呢，严格的按照带着拳套规则什么。这样的话保护手不受伤。对对。那么您说您是传统武术，您觉得不戴拳套更适合您发挥？可以。另外呢是咱们商量好的是3分钟1回合是打拳。对。没有摔，没有是吧老师？对。没有腿，对，也没有地面，其他没有，就是打拳，没错吧老师？完了之后，我也希望呢，就是我们能传统武术和现代搏击良性的交流。
And how does it turn out? The Tai Chi practitioner gets off to quite a good start. He lands a few punches. Although they don't look that powerful, he does make Xu's student slip over in the first few seconds. But as the fight goes on, the eventual outcome becomes obvious. Teacher Gu looks tired and starts falling over. He falls several times, but still insists on keeping going until he isn't even facing the opponent anymore, and then Xu tells his student not to hit him anymore and the fight is finished. This all comes from a live stream on Xi Xiaodong's YouTube channel, and the ending is actually quite nice, with Xu giving some gifts to the challenger, Teacher Gu, and saying some nice words thanking him for coming to Beijing for the match. I assume this lady is Gu's wife, and the look on her face is pretty priceless, probably thinking that the whole thing is ridiculous. Why did her husband, who is a washed-up old master, think that he could beat a young opponent in his prime? So what do I think about all this? Well, I've trained on and off in many traditional Chinese martial arts, including Shaolin, but also attended classes in Tai Chi, Baguazhang, and Xi Yiquan. I am by no means proficient in any of them. It's just been a hobby over the years, and right now I'm more of a martial arts historian rather than a practitioner. But there are many traditional martial artists who I have met and felt an incredible, unique type of strength. It's what they call internal power in the martial arts. I've also known people who have used traditional martial arts effectively in defending themselves when they have been jumped on the street. But the problem is, there are people in the traditional martial arts who don't fight or spar on a regular basis. It is no good having internal power if you cannot actually effectively break through someone's guard and deliver it. It's also no good having that power if your cardio is not up to the standard of even being able to keep going in a 3-minute round. There's also the difference in strategy. Many will say that traditional kung fu doesn't do well in the boxing ring because they are trained to kill and finish a fight in a few seconds with a deadly technique. You can't do that with gloves on and a set of rules. You notice how gracious Xi Xiaodong was about giving him the choice to wear gloves or not, probably for this reason, because he understands traditional martial arts is not the same as boxing. But I think if a martial artist is really good, he should be able to succeed despite the set of rules. But traditional martial arts have been somewhat diluted in modern times, with many of the teachings now incomplete. In the past, practitioners of traditional martial arts wouldn't dare to change even a little bit of it, since what they had worked. And when bandits attacked on the road, when they were out in the remote desert, their life and their client's life depended on their art, which was traditional kung fu. Just look at the many examples of people using Xing Yiquan effectively in the bodyguarding business in China in the 1800s. But now, in the age of firearms and more active law enforcement, having the skill to defend oneself is not so essential, and many people do traditional kung fu just because they simply like the look of the style and think it's cool. Yet they may not have actually put in the hours in training techniques over and over again and then testing them in sparring. In the past, it also would have been the most capable people doing traditional styles. Think people who had the physical prowess to become Navy SEALs or top athletes. But now a lot of those people are more drawn to MMA, which displays a lot more practical application of the art. Another thing to consider is that there is so much of a mystique around traditional Chinese kung fu, with movies where an old man beats up a load of 20-year-olds while hardly breaking a sweat. But in real life, unless you're talking about some supernatural Taoist from the mountains, you can't expect a man over 50 years old to be able to defeat someone in their 30s who regularly trains with one of the best MMA guys in China. Perhaps this Gu guy was good in his prime, but it became obvious at 50 years old he did not have the level of skill to compete with a younger opponent. Also, what happens in kung fu schools is that masters get lazy, since no student really dares to properly challenge the master, and thus over the years they get used to being able to beat anyone in their school. They slack off in training, and particularly the physical fitness aspect of it, and don't have a realistic expectation of how they would do in the ring. Thus, I think that what Xi Xiaodong is doing is pretty good, setting realistic expectations about the martial arts and showing that masters of traditional kung fu are not superhuman. This isn't a movie, it's real life. And it's great that he's being a lot more respectful these days than he was in the early days when he started challenging kung fu masters in 2017 and the years afterward. There are undoubtedly many fighters of traditional styles and their students who could give Xu and his students a run for their money. Don't think that I am putting down traditional Chinese kung fu here, but they are not the ones who talk the loudest and seek publicity. In the old days in China, when one master challenged another, the fight happened behind closed doors. Even the students wouldn't be allowed to watch, and this was to avoid embarrassment to whoever lost. But maybe it has come to the time to abandon that attitude in the name of preserving what's left of the traditional styles and actually figuring out who has trained in traditional kung fu effectively through having a full contact tournament, just like Teacher Gu did in this video. So I give props to Teacher Gu for trying. Maybe he can go for Mike Tyson next. Alright, that's it for the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to this channel if you're new, where we cover Chinese martial arts, but also Chinese history and mysterious things from history. And if you want to check out our other channel where we cover a load of similar things, but on an international scale, check out Secrets of the Ancients. I will put that channel on screen now. We just released a video on there about the mysterious origins of Stonehenge. Do check it out. See you next time, guys.